Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today's guest is Ryan Kugler, and he's founder of Plan B, A5 Events, and Ideal Content. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Hello, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hello, listeners. This is great. I can't wait.
All right, Ryan. So, a lot to talk about today. I definitely want to get into your mind and psyche as an entrepreneur because you're running multiple businesses, and I know that's no easy task. So, we'll get into that and more. But just to get us kicked off, we're going to start this episode the way that we start them all with what we like to call our Mission Matters Minute. So, Ryan, at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's what we do. And that's our mission. Ryan, what mission matters to you?
To get shit done.
Mm.
Sorry I swore there, but to get stuff done, basically what matters is every day somebody is given tasks, things to do. One
Yeah,
can easily put off and put it aside, and even I'm guilty of it, but you got to like change your mindset and just get it done because otherwise it just stacks up and then just makes you just want to go home and not go to work the next day.
man, I love it. I love the attitude and I love the concept. And I guess just getting us kicked off, like where did this entrepreneurship thing start for you? Were you always an entrepreneur, like it's from a young age, or did it like happen later in life? Like where'd you get bit by the bug?
I think that's a good question. I've never had it posed that way. And now as I think about it, I think it really, as a kid, I kind of grew up in, a family where, my parents were divorced. I had a lot of brothers and kind of, the old school of being grown up where you kind of sink or swim.
Mm,
So I had to learn how to swim at a young age and make things go right. And I guess you could say that was entrepreneurship from, getting to the mall to finding
mm.
money to spend at a movie to
We
just
didn't
going to
know it was
school and getting on a
entrepreneurship,
plane.
right? That's a fancy word that we have now, but it was just called, hey, we needed money and we had to figure out how to get it, right?
Yes, yes, that's right. That's right. So I started at a young age figuring things out.
What are your first, like, give me an early product or an early thing? I think I have baseball cards. That was the earliest one I can remember. Maybe it was comic books, one of the two. I don't remember.
I'm a big music fan. I love music, so I always wanted to buy a CD or an album or a tape.
Oh,
So I always needed the 14.99 to go spend at the store.
yeah. What's the
So
first thing you remember selling? Like your first product or like value add?
okay, this will blow you away. So I went to a boarding school when I was 15, and
Mm.
my parents didn't have the money to pay for it, and they said, "Hey, you got to come home." And I said, "No, give me something to sell." And my father had a bunch of artwork, and I started selling the artwork for $2, $2,000 a picture,
Come
and started just
on.
calling people, and wound up, selling three pieces that bought me, for the end of the year from January to June.
What year was this roughly?
1990, I
Wow,
think.
so that's like I don't need the exact. I'm just thinking about like today's value of money. So like that's not a little bit of money. Like even for right now, there's some artists listening like, how did he sell it for 2 grand?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm still shocked, but I went through the same travails as anyone else. One
Yeah.
person's like, sure, I'll buy it, and then bailed on it like, 2 days later. And it was having to find a new buyer and having to figure out. And then also, how do you get it from point A to point B when you're 15 years old? Well, how do I get this guy this picture that's in a box? And how do I get him to go pick it up? And it's in a warehouse in LA. What do we do? So that's entrepreneurship. I had to figure it out and just come up with solutions to problems.
Did you feel like this was kind of like normal, like your skill set and to be able to do this and figure this out? Or was it like, because I'm guessing, and correct me if I'm wrong, I just think about like my friends at the time when I was 15, nobody was thinking like this. Like, what did you feel like that was your superpower early on, or did you even recognize it? Maybe you didn't. You're just living in your own
I
shoes.
I
Do you
don't think
remember?
I don't think I recognized it, nor do I think the school or my parents did. I think it was just back then. It's like, kids grew up and had to, start work at 5 a.m. on a farm and milk a cow, and it was just
Mm.
assumed you know how to do this. So you're right. With the question you just asked, no, I don't think I was ever recognized or accoladed for it or anything. I just did it.
You just did it. The school got their money and you got to stay in
Yeah, and
school. Come
everyone just kind
on.
of moved on. There wasn't like, a special commendation that you get or anything like that. It's like, okay, so
Yeah.
I think that is something that entrepreneurs have is they know how to get stuff done and they
Yeah.
don't look for recognition or commendation. They just do it because at the end of the day, they sell the company for 50 million and there's their recognition.
Yeah, I got to hear more about these ventures because that's just so unique. Like, do you
Yeah,
remember what
that's
the
like one
next,
of five.
what was the next one? Or give me at least one more. I want to hear.
One more was, at the school, well, okay, so I think it's on my website. So I made a movie with, at the time, the number one TV show Cheers with Ted Danson and Woody
Mm,
Harrelson. And I made a short movie with them because
mm.
during my summer, I lived in LA and went to all the movie studios. And Ted Danson's like, well, what are you doing here? Why are you in my soundstage watching us film this TV show? And I told him I want to be a director. And he said, great, I'll give you an opportunity. You get to direct me and anyone you want on the set in a little short film on a lunch break. And I said, great. And I did it. And it's really cool. Did I ever get
Oh my.
recognized? No, not really. I just did it.
Wow. What
And
do
I
you
didn't know how,
think?
and by the way, I didn't know how to make a movie or operate a camera or how to write a script. So again, as an entrepreneur, I figured it out and I just did it. I didn't blow it off. I didn't push it
Hmm.
off. I made it work.
Wow. And what did you think like through that process? Like at this point, are you starting to be like, okay, this is uncommon, or still you were just like, I'm just doing it, like just making a quick, little short film?
I think I did recognize it. I realized what was going on. And you
Hmm.
can actually, during the film, while I was filming it with a buddy of mine, we filmed a scene with Woody Harrelson on a bike riding up and telling him what to do. And we were laughing in the background. You're not supposed to laugh while you're filming
Of course.
because we were laughing because I think that's when it hit us like, we're telling this dude what to do and how to do it. And he's making us laugh while he's acting. And I think that was the moment of, look what actually we are at the point of what the euphoria of the
Yeah.
accomplishment.
What do you attribute to like some of those experiences, like in terms of attracting them to you? Because they're just very uncommon. Like, what do you attribute some of that to? Is that just
I think that
natural?
there's
Like, what?
well, there's two things. One, every person can pray, make a decision, decide what they
Hmm.
want to do, put down a goal, and it does happen eventually. So I think that every person is gifted with some luck or God putting their hand on you and helping you with something
Hmm.
every X amount of time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have to see that. And I have to say that because like sometimes you like, I mean, I've done I've done over 6,000 interviews, going approaching 7,000. And that's the
Wow.
first one where I've had somebody say, well, yeah, so then I did this little short film and I got to shoot it on a lunch break. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I know. And actually, I'm actually turning 50 this year, and I'm finally going to show the world this video. I've never shown it to anyone, but I'm going to actually, when I turn 50, put it on YouTube and at my birthday party, inviting people to finally see it. It's really cheesy, but I'm finally going to take it out of the vault, as they say.
I think that's all relative, man. That's a piece of your history, and
Yeah.
it's iconic, honestly. It's just, and to be able to share that experience with others, it's amazing, I think. That's just
Yes.
my two
Thank you.
cents.
Thank you.
Let's get into present day. So some of the businesses you're doing and what's making your entrepreneurial mind tick now. So plan B, A5 events, ideal content, like what keeps you going? What keeps you like motivated? And really, how are you able to run multiple businesses, man? It's not no easy task.
It is no easy task. I 100% agree. Well, when I got out of school, I started in a family business and started selling. And selling is a great asset where you can learn to just keep dialing for dollars, as they say, and
Hmm.
not be turned off by people hanging up the phone or saying F you or whatever. But in 2008, after X amount of time and the world hit that recessional point, I didn't like how I was told, hey, we might not give you a paycheck this week. So at that point, I decided, okay, well, let me have a couple other businesses and a couple other verticals so that I will always go home happy and make a paycheck somewhere else. So I started pretty much designing and starting new businesses, the three that I have now. Technically, I have
Hmm.
four now. And basically, I operate them and juggle them all. And yes, check all the emails and do it. And it's a challenge at times, but it's also could be beneficial, just like anyone owning multiple businesses that can, one can do well, two are down, two can be up, one's down, all three are up, great, all three are down. It has it's got its positives, it's got its negatives, but the key is just to wake up every day and be happy and do something you like and just look at the positive side of things.
Hmm. What keeps you in the game? Like, what keeps you motivated when things get tough? Because, like you said, sometimes, one business might be up, two down, or like what happens if all three are down? Like, what keeps you motivated?
It's very rare that all three are down, which is why I have three. I don't think I've ever had it, but what keeps me motivated is eating sugar, listening to music.
What are you listening to right now?
Nothing right now because I'm on with you, but I'm an old 80s new wave fan.
Ah, okay. What's some of the main ones that are on the list?
Anything from that time, from Depeche Mode to, New Order to the Smiths, anything like that. So I'm more of a fan of music, and sure, I'll listen to the music and it will just,
Mm,
keep me a little upbeat. But usually also I use, Sirius XM, which here in the United States is satellite radio. And one day I'll listen to movie music, the next day I'll listen to classical, the next day I'll listen to 70s just to bounce around and not, break out of the mold. That's the
mm,
other thing. Break out of the mold. My motto this year is do something new every day.
mm.
Every day, do something new.
Yeah.
Whether it's taking a different walk, whether it's getting a different drink at Starbucks, whether it's you're going to the same office every day, go a different route.
Mm. How did you initially pick your niches for the businesses you started? Curious about that.
Well, when I got out of high school, finished high school, I got into the family business, which was the buying and selling of products. Actually, at the time,
Mhm.
it was VHS videos, movies. So we call it, I was buying and selling just widgets. So we were a wholesaler. So I'm still doing that. I'm just not doing movies and music anymore. The
Mm.
other one, the event business, on the side, I was helping an event once a year, a 5K run, where people raise money, a charity run
Yeah,
walk.
yeah.
And I seemed to have a knack at it and did very well, that people started calling and saying, "Hey, I heard you put on an event for this company. Can you do it for us?" And I
Mm.
basically turned it into a business. And the other one was kind of morphed from my wholesale business, where somebody said, "Hey, I want to buy this product from you." And I went to China to go find it, but then I stumbled upon this open video brochure, it's called, which is a brochure that plays a video upon opening, like a little iPad inside of a paper brochure.
Hmm.
So I kind of got into that and got into the marketing business that way. So everything usually leads me to something else. Like I have a warehouse business now that's derived from the wholesale business, because I
Mm.
don't say no to opportunities, and my employees hate that. So if someone calls and says, "Hey, I want you to start making, a garden for me in my backyard," I'll be like, "Okay, cool, let's do it."
Mm. Speaking of the employees, I feel like in order to pull this off, like you must have like what are your views on culture? Like culture and like, getting others to see your vision and also to get them to buy in, right? Because just to say it's one thing to just say, okay, we're gonna go do that. It's another thing to get the crew and the team all pointed in the same direction. Like, what's the secret there?
Just to tell them, and tell them
Mm.
with a happy face. I got to be honest with you and just say, "Hey, this is the way we want to go." But it's also open communication. Then they'll come back and say, "Hey, Ryan, you're a little too quick for us. You got to be patient." So
Mm.
it goes both ways. Number one, two, open door, be in communication. But at the same time, everyone's got to be quick and succinct, because I am. You want to hire people who are the same tone that you are. Because if you're hiring someone that wants to think about something for an hour and a half, it's like it's not going to work out, because when you got three companies, you're moving quickly and you're doing things quickly. So we don't have time to go, let's think about this for 40 years.
Mm. Yeah, that's yeah, so it's definitely it has to be. I was thinking about that. It has to be a quick, fast-paced moving culture. So that's kind of in the DNA. And I'm
Yeah, it's
guessing
in the
when you're
DNA.
onboarding, you're hiring other things like that's kind of communicated. But I also think on the other side of things, for people that do enjoy moving fast and get bored or like easily, like this is heaven for them. They're like, all right, what's the next adventure we're going on, Ryan? Let's go, right?
Yeah, and that's why I think, the employees here, I mean, I only have five or six, but they're
Hmm.
never bored, because they're not doing the same thing. Because technically, the three companies, I call it a layered company,
Hmm.
all the employees are working for all three companies. So one minute they might be planning an event, to the next minute they're ordering 20 trucks to pick something up, to the next minute they're printing, 10,000 brochures. So
Mm.
so the marketing person is doing marketing for all three. The logistics person is doing logistics for all three. The finance person is, doing finance for all three.
Mm.
And every once in a while we get a trifecta, it's called, where each company is doing business with the same other company, which is kind of
Yeah.
neat. And then it gets a little confusing as far as what bill to pay.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. Oh, well, Ryan, I just have to say this has been a lot of fun. Like kind of peeling back your entrepreneurial process, even thinking about those early days. And man, I got it. When is that movie coming out? You said when you turn 50. When you turn 50, how long is this? I've
In
been waiting.
August. In
Oh,
August,
so it's this year.
yeah, so
Okay.
I'll put it on YouTube this year. And I have to put it on YouTube because,
Yep.
I didn't pay the actors, so it has to go for free.
Of course,
So,
of course.
and if it
Well,
goes viral, then I'll have another problem, and I'll have to donate the money from YouTube if they want to pay me.
that's amazing. All
Yeah.
good. That will be a either way. I just want to see the project. So you got to loop me and our listeners in. So be sure to get me on that email newsletter or whatever is going to be sending it out because I'll definitely make sure that we send it out to our crew and our audience as well. And
No, I
speaking
appreciate it.
speaking of the audience, if somebody wants to follow up or connect with you and your team and learn more about what you're up to, I mean, how do people do that?
Well, a couple ways. I mean, someone can just go to my website for my name, which is ryankugler.com, RYANKUGLER.com. That's usually the best way because then I think there's a little thing that says, hey, which company do you want to go to type
Mm,
thing.
mm,
That's usually the best. I mean, I did write a book called How to Start Life. Since you started out this podcast, asking like, hey, how did it all start? Basically, it's just kind of helping, people like, because a lot of people when they finish school, do they know how to lease a car? Do they know how to get an apartment? Do they know how to write a resume? Yeah, some schools teach them that, but there's a lot of stuff that schools don't teach basic, like starting out in life skills. Not
mm,
that I am, a novice at it, no, but it's just like, hey, I just notice a lot of kids, as I do interviews for people and hire people, a lot of people don't know certain things. So on
mm.
Amazon, you can just type in Ryan Coogler and a book comes up.
No, I love it. And I pulled it up on Amazon. So for everybody, we'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. So it's called How to Start Life, an instructional guide for those who completed school and ready to start out in life. So no, this is great. What inspired this book? I'm just curious.
I think just interviewing people and just, kids, just, like I would hire kids to work in events and I'd say, hey, can you send me an invoice? And they'd be like, what's an invoice? And I'm like, wait, so there's some basic things that 18 to 24-year-olds don't know and don't know what to do. And we
Mm,
live in a society now where a lot of parents, and I'm guilty of this too, take care of their kids and coddle their kids and help them more.
hmm.
Whereas you learn from this interview, thank you, I pretty much figured it out on my own on how to even pay
Yeah.
for my own school.
Yeah.
So that's really what inspired it is I just, I
For
feel
the
like
kids out there, hey, you got to go sell paintings. You want to go to school. Come on.
paintings or cell phones or whatever the latest widget is that's hot and cool.
Yeah, I love
Start a
that story,
TikTok
man.
channel.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, it's not saying it has to be done the way it was in the past. It's just finding a way to add value, right? Like, that's all we're doing.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
what a great a segment, a great episode. So we'll put again, as I mentioned, how to start life. We'll put a link to that in the show notes for everybody that's listening, so you can pick up a copy, and also to the website. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters, this is a daily show. Each and every day, we're bringing on new entrepreneurs, new executives and new experts and having them share their mission, the reason behind it, really what gets them ticking and motivated and get them out of bed every morning to get out there in the world to make a difference. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, definitely do that. Hit the subscribe button because we have many more mission-based individuals coming up for you. Again, it's a daily show. And Ryan, thanks so much for coming on, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.